Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. It's Friday. Welcome back to the TED Show. I'm here with Megan Gallagher, and we are going to talk about your mental health matters, a topic that is so important to me, and I think it should be important to you. Before we went live, we talked about how there is some stigma still to talking about mental health issues, to even admitting that maybe you go see a therapist or that you need help, even the basic need, asking for that help. And so Megan and I are going to talk about that today. Welcome. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, Ted. I'm so excited to be here, and I cannot wait for this conversation.
Me too. So before we take a deep dive into mental health and why it matters, I love the title, tell them a little bit about you. The audience loves to know your origin. They want to know kind of how you got here. Because I think a lot of people, it resonates with people when they see, wow, she went from point A to point B, and look at all the stuff that she's accomplished and been able to overcome, or all the stuff that she has been able to talk about. So give us the 411 on you.
Yeah. So hello, everyone. My name is Megan Gallagher. I am a 2-time TEDx speaker, 4-time best-selling author, blogger, on-camera TV host, and a writer. My journey, where do I even begin? For me, I had a very good childhood, very good upbringing. And then once I hit kind of 8th grade, freshman year of high school, I started really struggling. And in the beginning, I wasn't sure what was going on. It was just these panic attacks, but at the time I did not know that they were panic attacks. I felt very in the dark, very just alone with my struggles because there was no open conversation in my school. So I just thought, I'm the weird girl who, I don't know. I always felt off and weird. And to me, it went on for so long that I kind of accepted this is just how I am. This is how I think. And I, have these episodes that just are panic attacks, but I didn't know that. And so it wasn't until my sophomore year of high school when I just reached rock bottom. I was barely, eating normally in my social life. Like my anxiety was affecting so many parts of my life that I just I was like, I need help. I remember vividly. It was sad. I was in the bathroom stall in my high school. Just literally, that was a routine of mine. If I had a panic attack, I would ask my teacher, can I go to the bathroom? And I would literally just sit in a stall just to help time go by. And, I just wanted to be alone. So I would literally just sit and quiet.
Let me ask you before you go on, because I think it is very important that you describe what a panic attack is for you, because we have a lot of people who are experiencing them and they don't know how to identify that's what's going on. They either think they're losing their minds completely, they can't figure it out. And so I think a lot of people suffer in silence like you did. Because nobody explained to them, hey, this is a panic attack, or this is what a panic attack looks like.
So for me, I will say, when I did have panic attacks, they would come on as, at first my heart rate would just get very accelerated. Like imagine you're in an intense workout and it's just ding, 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 and you're like, okay, I'm just sitting in a cubicle or something calm, but your heart rate is like through the roof. I also would get sweaty palms, like really clammy. And I just remember I would feel so uncomfortable. Like I felt like I wanted to get out of my skin. I was hot and sweaty. The room was kind of spinning and I'm like, this is just terrible. And sometimes, my head, fingers would get all tingly and that pins and needles feeling. So I think for a panic attack, you can feel a wide range of symptoms. If you Google it, there's like a list of 500, headache, or your toes go numb, or your eye vision gets blurry. So whatever you're feeling is probably a panic attack if it's under that realm. But I just would feel so uncomfortable. And then, a panic attack, basically in like a scientific way, it's the fight or flight response, which means your body is sensing a potential danger. So your cortisol levels go up. Basically, the fight or flight, you want to flee and be safe. So you have all this adrenaline going. And then, it's like you go up and then the come down. It's so emotionally and energetically draining where I just remember when I was in high school, I would feel exhausted all the time.
Sure.
Because, it's so up and down and up
It's
and down.
taxing on your mind, your body, your soul, your spirit. It can be paralyzing, immobilizing.
Yes.
And I think people beat them. And what happens, you're going through it. I have never experienced one, but my family members have. So the way they describe it is you're going through it. And because you have in your mind, no rational reason as to why it's happening, it causes even more stress and anxiety. And so it's this snowball effect.
Yeah. And I think, I remember when I was younger, I mean, thankfully, I kind of, had that rock bottom-ish moment where I was in the bathroom stall and I'm like, I just was like, there has to be a better way to live life. Like, I remember even at 15, I was like, I just started getting sad thinking about, me as an adult and after high school, what would happen. Cause I was like, this just like, how am I going to, be a mom one day? How am I going to have a job if I can't even sit in one like class without having to go to the bathroom? So that thought, I was like, there just has to be an answer to what is going on. So I think literally that night I went home, had dinner, and then I sort of like pushed myself to ask my parents for help, which a lot of people, would have shame about it or not want to ask for help. But I was just very vocal and I like cried in front of my parents and they did not judge. And then literally the following week, I had my first therapy session ever and it blew my mind away. I felt like I could breathe and take off all of this extra weight. And so I remember I was like, wait, this feels so good. I always feel so great after therapy. And this lady is not going to judge me. She doesn't really know me. I can tell her everything. And, it's safe. And I was like, this is like amazing. I need more of it.
I mean, I talked about how I don't have panic attacks, but I did 5 years intensive therapy. And I just feel like when I was there, it was probably the first time I felt safe. One of the first times I felt safe talking about what I was feeling or going through or what I had experienced. And I just remember walking out of the therapist's office every week, feeling on top of the world. It was the first time I had felt that way since I could remember. And so, but the power of the stigma almost wasn't going to do it. And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with. And I just want to encourage them that there are a lot of people who are experiencing the same things that you are, maybe in a different way, but it's manifesting itself in a similar way. And so getting therapy is not a bad thing. It is not negative. It's not a weakness. It is such a powerful thing for you to accept and work through.
Yes. And that is like a really powerful thing when you said it's not a weakness, because I remember when I was a teenager, that's something that I work through in therapy is kind of, peeling away the layers of all these beliefs I had about myself. And, like my childhood was great. It was positive. The traumas, I mean, I don't say traumas, but the traumas I've been through have been very like easy to deal with. But I remember in therapy, my therapist kept on digging, but why, Megan? Like she wanted me to go deeper. And I had a lot of stories at that age about what it means to be weak and to ask for help, and a lot of stuff about being vulnerable and trusting other people, which, it's not really necessarily pretty or feels good to really dig deep, but it just like, it releases you. That's what it does. It releases you from all of these beliefs that just do not serve you. It's a form of protection, a defense mechanism. It really, we all have them. And so I think it's like, we could go about our life just going on autopilot, like kind of like, just sleepwalking, just doing the motions, protecting ourselves. Like no one can get close to me. And I don't open up and all those things. But you have to realize at the end of the day that as human beings, we all, at the core of ourselves, just want to give and receive love. We want to feel heard and seen. So those survival mechanisms, they work for a period of time, but then you will reach a point where you're like, I want to live a better quality of life. And that's what happened to me.
So you get through, and thank you for sharing that, by the way.
Yeah.
You get through, it's just so important. I have so many guests after, I have so many people who watch the show afterward say, oh my God, I'm so glad that she shared that or he shared that, because you feel like you're alone in this a lot. You feel completely 100%. Isolated. Like you're the only, you said what, weirdo or odd. You feel completely disconnected because you look surface wise at what's going on. It's kind of like social media today, which is a whole nother discussion, but you look surface wise at what's going on. You think, God, my life's not perfect. Their life's perfect. Look at her hair. Look at the way he dresses. Look at their car. Right. And so you're then beating yourself up for feeling this thing that you don't have any control over and don't understand why it's happening to you.
That's a really good point, Ted. And I actually have learned from my years in therapy, I have a rule about that because I still am a human being. So I have my moments where my brain wants to compare, and
we all do.
Yeah, go down that whole spiral. But I have a rule where if I find myself doing that, I pull it back and I'm like, wait, I have a three-part rule. Have I met this person that I'm comparing myself? Have I met them in real life? Yes or no? Have I seen like really, where they live, like the real stuff? And number 3, have I spent 24 hours with them? Because I think it's easy to compare yourself to online because we all want to assume that, they woke up like this and their life has always been so easy and they never have family stuff and they never feel. That is such a lie. That is such a crock of stuff because.
Agreed. You can say it on the show. It's fine.
It's a crock of shit because I have had the honor in my career of meeting my idols and certain celebrities. You meet them in person and it kind of like is the Wizard of Oz where they're still wonderful people, but it's like you think it's this great, whole, and then you just peel back the curtain. You're like, they're just a human being.
They're humans. They're human beings.
They're human beings. They still have pimples and wrinkles. They're human. They're human beings. They still have stuff. And that's not discredit. Like they're fabulous, of course. But you have to remember when you find yourself comparing, you have to pull it back and just pause and think like, these thoughts are not helping me. They're actually hurting me. And like, have you read their whole life story? Like if you really want to compare your chapter 1 to their chapter 900, exactly. I mean, like you have to realize that, their story may shock you. Maybe they were once homeless or broke or, whatever, but it's like, you can't compare yourself unless I think you do the 3-part rule and you really evaluate, okay, maybe it's not fair because I haven't met them in person and I don't really know what their home life is like. And, some people don't share their personal life online, which is fine, but, they're still humans. They still.
I agree. I think social media there's a power there that is beautiful when it's utilized in the right way. And then there's a power that is negative depending on what your frame of reference and your narrative is on how you receive it. So it's very important for you to have. I love the 3 questions. That's a great test, right? Because sometimes, I'm the same and I'm 900 years old. I will look on social media and go, oh my God, that person's 20 years younger than me.
Right.
They're driving I don't know I'm terrible at cars, but like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or something like that. And I think, well, I don't have one of those, but it's momentary because I have had a lot of therapy and I understand how to pull myself back.
Yes.
Not everyone has those tools. So you hit rock bottom. And then there's one thing when you've got teen angst, not that that's what you had, but hormones, you got all that stuff going on. It's another thing to realize, all right, I want this because now you're an adult. Yes. I want this to be something that is my message, my purpose, my passion. How did you decide this is the direction you wanted to go?
So after high school, I did about only a year of community college. Like for me, academics, it just never clicked. I was always in drama, the school plays. Like I always had a natural passion for being on stage and storytelling. So that always came very organically. And then I remember in community college, I had a little aha light bulb moment, and I realized my true passion was just helping people and storytelling. And I knew I could put the two together and use my own story. So I called my parents one day, and I remember it like it was yesterday. And I was literally like, I was shaking. I'm like, Mom, Dad. They're like, yeah. I'm like, I don't want to be in school. I know what my passion is. Thankfully, I come from a very like open-minded, supportive family. So they were like, good for you. You found your calling in life. And it was cool because in that moment, I was expecting, like frustration, my parents to like just be like, Megan, come on, you need to finish school, blah, 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 blah. But they like actually celebrated this fact that I knew what I wanted to do. And I will never forget that moment because I'm like, wait, I love my parents like a little bit extra now. So I literally at 18 just, dove headfirst. I would like the urge, the burning desire just to speak anywhere. I will never forget that. I was like, I don't care if it's in front of one person at like a senior citizen home. I just want to speak. I want to just speak in front of people and get my story out there. So I would go to like YMCA's, Boys and Girls Clubs, any type of like after school, anything. And at first my friend would just come with me and her iPhone just record. And it was 5 kids, sometimes 10 kids. And I had papers with me. I was like so nervous. I'm like, okay, kids, but I still did it. And I think that's a really big part is like, I really didn't push down what I was feeling called to do. I just did it. And then, years and years of just speaking anywhere, putting up YouTube videos, like everything, just years and years and years and years. And that was 8 years ago. So now at 26, I've self-published 4 books, given 2 TEDx talks.
That's amazing. All of that is amazing. Your accomplishments. And I think that's what's so critical because we listed your bio and we'll continue to post that. People, when they feel that analysis paralysis of any kind, they think, I'm never going to amount to anything. I'm never going to be there. Oh, look at Megan. She's beautiful. She's accomplished. And what they need to understand is that your journey involves a lot of stumbling and rock bottom and issues and challenges, but you still continued to push through.
Yes. And I really want to reiterate that because I remember when I was first starting out at 18, I compared my journey and I was like, I had a lot of really negative self-talk. I was like, oh, I'm never going to be the girl that, and I just remember, now it's like, I'm just so much more confident. I think it's an age thing as you get older, but I remember when I was first starting out, I was like imposter, just like so not worthy, not good enough.
Imposter syndrome. It's real.
It's real. Like I was like, I don't have a degree, I will never do this. I don't have the money, all these horrible, like really negative things.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, like to anyone watching, if you're just starting out, it's like, I come from a very normal family. Nothing was handed to me. I worked. So if you go online, because I know that I do this sometimes, so I like to just be real. If you go online to my Instagram and you find yourself comparing and you're like, oh, this girl, keep in mind, you're seeing a highlight reel. Imagine an iceberg. You're seeing the little 10% on top of the water. There's a whole 90% under the water. 8 years of hustling, of getting rejected and hearing no's and nothing. It's just my persistence and my confidence and my ability is what has kept me going. And like, I really do think that everyone has a different path. Some people it takes longer than others, but I really have a lot of like positive affirmations. And I really do believe that things happen for a reason. Like I'm a very spiritual person and I really have a lot of faith in the universe. And I think, now I speak so much more positively. I'm really a believer in manifestation. And so I know that whatever I'm saying in my mind kind of has a ripple effect. So I'm like, I do deserve, I am already a New York Times bestselling. Like I really, speak like it's already here. I put it out there because I really just think that it's like your self-talk and your belief in yourself and your confidence is what will propel you so far. And, everything else to me is just like a bonus, but I've never lost sight of why I'm doing what I'm doing, my reason behind it. And really just everything I do is kind of like for my 16-year-old self in a healing kind of way.
Of course, and I want to say something that I want to ask you about your book, and then we'll wrap it up. But I feel like it's so important what you just said. You are manifesting, you believe in law of attraction, and the people who are naysayers on that, my question to them always is your negative way working? Because I can look at you and tell you and know your life enough to tell you it's not. So why would you be judgy? And a lot of that has to do with fear,
Yes.
trepidation, the unknown. There's a stigma to saying that stuff out loud. People are funny about this. And my comment always back to them is, well, your way is obviously not where you want to be.
So
try something new.
No, it's so true. I think in life, everything is a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I really do think that, the universe is just going to listen to whatever you are saying. So whether or not it's really what you want or what you don't want, you're just going to attract more of whatever, merry-go-round ride you're on. So if you're like, poor me, I'll never, great, then you're going to bring in people, situations, jobs that support that belief. So have fun in that journey. But then on the other side, if you choose to like take responsibility for your emotions, get out of victim mindset and realize, you know what, glass half full. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. How can I like take my ownership back? And then you're going to attract people, jobs, situations that match that story. I would rather be in this one. So that's my belief, but
I love it. All right. So before we wrap up, you have a new book. Tell us about your book.
Yay! This is my new book, How to Thrive in the Virtual Classroom. This is just like such a joy of mine. It's an interactive workbook for students everywhere. I wrote it specifically for the effects that the pandemic has had on, middle school, high school, college students. And it's really just an interactive journal for them to, they can write in it and like take their power back. It's really fun. And I just really felt called because, on the news, I remember I would just be working out or doing whatever, and I would see all these things, the deaths, the this, the that. So really negative. It's informative, yes, but it's a lot of heavy news. And I thought to myself, because one of my favorite quotes is create solutions, not excuses. I call myself out all the time because I'm like, oh, am I creating an excuse or a solution?
I agree. Yep.
So in that moment, I remember I had a light bulb and I'm like, wait, I have all of these amazing tips and tools the past 8 years in therapy. I still have a therapist to this day. I'm like, wait, why don't I like create this workbook that's all about solutions for students that are suffering and they don't feel equipped to handle, the effects and the anxiety and the depression and is this going to end in my grades? And so I created this, and it's my 4th book on Amazon. I self-published it and I had an editor. Like it brings me joy. But yeah, this is How to Thrive in the Virtual Classroom.
It's beautiful. All right. So I want you guys to go to meganwgallagher.com. You can find her on all social media platforms. I want you to get the book. I want you to really embrace that because her message is your mental health matters, and it does. And there is help. There are ways for you to not be stuck in whatever you're stuck in and to not feel so downtrodden and like there is no hope. Megan, it is Women's History Month. And so I'm asking all of my guests, when I say the word hero, what woman comes to mind for you?
Oh my gosh. Immediately my mom. Shout out to Courtney. You know who you are. I adore my mom more than anyone on this earth. she really, I do believe that in the spiritual sense, I do believe that like in reincarnation and our souls kind of choose our family members to learn certain lessons. And I really feel like I chose my mom because like just some crazy, she helped me day in and day out when I was in high school. She's just the biggest like teacher to me. It was kind of like, she's like, I love you, Megan, but I want you to stay at school. You can do it. Push yourself. It's always a choice. Like she just drilled in my mind, be good to people, all these things that have shaped me into who I am. So, I mean, my mom is really, really strong mentally and tough, but she's amazing though. And so my mom is my hero.
I love that. All right. MeganWGallagher.com. Thank you, Megan, so much for being on. Come back anytime.
I would love
This
to.
topic is so important. We have to keep talking about it so people get away from the stigma and they actually seek the help that they really need to have the life that they really want and deserve. So thank you so much. Come back anytime. You guys go to MeganWGallagher.com and we will bring her back on. I would love to have you back on. Your mental health matters. We mean that. We do mean that. So we love you guys. Thank you so much, Megan. We'll see you guys soon. Bye, everybody.